Hey, it's Kris Leigh here. I'm not a professional voice actor. This is just something I wanted to do for fun and for you, my readers. I thought it might be kind of cool to hear the first couple chapters in my own voice. Now, I've got two voices, one low, one high. And honestly, neither one's all that dramatic. And frankly, my low is not exactly low. But here we go. This is Woven Souls, written by me, Kris Leigh, chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1. My best friend had a dark secret, and it changed the shape of my life the day he was born. What are you doing? Startled, I relaxed my grip on the snow globe and dislodged my teeth from the groove they'd made in my bottom lip. Wow, didn't even know I'd been biting it. Plus, where had he come from? You scared me. Didn't hear you come in. That's obvious. What are you trying to do exactly? Jansen knelt in the cramped coat closet beside me, so his knees prodded against the cardboard box between us. Musty coats provided a low and swaying ceiling. What is all this stuff? My mom sent me in after the dish she has, with the stars on it. Or is it stripes? Anyway, I couldn't find it, but look at what I did find. Do you remember this? I handed him the snow globe. Sure, you got it for Christmas when we were, 6? But why crush it? His voice came out hushed, dampened by the small space. Creaky floorboards punctuated his sentences as he shifted. I pulled my knees into my chest, rubbing them for warmth. The air vent right outside the closet door tickled the erect little hairs on my bare arms. I wasn't crushing it, just trying to get the snow to jump around the way you used to. I could sit for hours trying to make it dance like that, but I've never been able to work it. With a slight hesitation, Jansen glanced toward the patio beyond our family room, where our families congregated for a 4th of July celebration and my 16th birthday, me being a proud holiday baby and all. He grasped the globe by its glass dome, and within seconds it glowed as red as hot coals in the diffused light beneath the coats. But how? Snow globes didn't work like that. Small bubbles formed at the bottom of the scene and then rose to the top, looking like the water boiled. But of course that was impossible. The snow danced in a blizzard around the miniature cabin inside, the flakes whirling to hide the tiny Santa in his sleigh on the roof. I stared, enchanted. How do you do that? Before he could respond, I grabbed for the snow globe. Just as he'd always done when we were children, he held it overhead, out of reach. "Oh, come on," I said. "Seriously, how do you do that?" But he didn't listen. Instead, he grasped the base, hovering one hand over the sphere of the globe. Wait, one more trick, my impatient friend. Impossibly, he made the glass glow a striking shade of blue that lit up the cozy space before tossing it back to me. My heart kicked a warning as I caught the toy, but nothing happened. Not even after I shook it. Nothing. Maybe it was broken. But no, he'd just made it work. I shook it, and the snow swirled in a storm around the miniature cabin. What was wrong with this thing? I held it up to the light, angling it this way and that. Nothing. An ordinary snow globe. Could it be the person who held it? No, that was ridiculous. Did you take up magic at some point and never told me? He scoffed, but a shadow crossed his face like an idea. Just something I picked up from Uncle Fred. Frustrated, I tossed it back into the box right on top of a worn-out baseball glove. Jansen pulled the container toward himself to sift through old, forgotten items with me. A Rubik's Cube missing at least 3 bricks, a Walkman whose cassette tape had gone jammed inside, Atari game cartridges, and a magic 8-ball whose messages didn't flow quite flat. The back patio door opened before we got very far. It was my mom, and the whoosh of her entry brought with her the smoky, sweet smell of barbecue chicken from the grill, making my mouth water. She got into the fridge and glanced my way. "What happened to you?" she asked as she pulled out her homemade potato salad. "Couldn't you find the dish?" "The one with the stripes on it, right?" She kicked the refrigerator door closed, using her bare foot. "Honestly, Ellie, it's blue with white stars. Jansen, maybe—" I'll help her find it, Miss Marie. I know the one you're talking about." My mom slipped out the back, throwing a grateful glance at Jansen and a split-second glower at me. Jansen stood with his familiar, remarkable grace. All the other boys who'd been sophomores last year had gone through awkward, lanky stages, but not him. Just getting off the ground was something he did with impressive agility. He did it in one swift movement from sitting to standing, as effortless as his next breath. Though he offered me a hand, it wouldn't help me crawl out of the closet. So I struggled to my feet and started toward the kitchen, but he gripped my elbow, pulling me to him. "Wait, I have something for you. I wanted to give it to you before the others got here." "A present?" I held my hands out with excitement. "What is it?" Jansen's gifts were always unique and often exotic things his uncle brought back from his travels around the world. I had never met his Uncle Fred, but the man had a knack for finding rare items. The last gift had been hand-painted stacking dolls from Russia. Before that, he'd given me an intricate string art design of a baobab tree, hand-strung in Africa. Jansen shifted his weight to one foot and leaned against the wall. Just when I thought I'd have to wrestle him for it, he rooted through his pocket, pulling out a small box wrapped in light sky-colored paper tied with a delicate, not quite perfect little bow. With long, deft fingers, he tried to fix the bow, damaged from riding around in his pocket. It wasn't the packaging that mattered, not really. It was the excitement of the unknown, the anticipation of a never-before-seen treasure. Before it found my hand, Jansen snarled, retracted the gift, and tucked it into his pocket again. I started to tell him to give it back, but the front door opened before the words were out. "Andrew," I said instead, annoyed at our neighbor who had walked through the entrance. "Come on in." Andrew had moved to our small Ohio town of about 20,000 residents when he and my brother, Tyler, were in the 4th grade. Since then, living next door to my family, with only a row of hydrangea bushes between us, they'd been together more by chance than by choice. He was the yin to my brother's yang. Tyler loved fishing, hiking, canoeing, and generally getting dirty, whereas Andrew sneezed at the word outside, almost literally. Tyler was a closet slob. While he was well-kept thanks to our mom, his bedroom was just an extension of the county dump. Andrew's parents were minimalists, and he didn't seem to rebel at following in their footsteps. Jansen slipped his sunglasses from their perch over his forehead to the bridge of his nose. Ever hear of knocking? What was it with these two? Andrew had been a long-time fixture in our home, and though they'd never hung out, he and Jansen used to be cordial. That had changed when my latest boyfriend, Carl, had graduated, and we'd parted ways. For some reason, Andrew had found himself the target of Jansen's glares and bad humor ever since. Never a fan of Carl's, Andrew had made sure to seek me out, making certain I had someone to come to about the breakup. When he called to talk to my brother, if I answered the phone first, he asked how I was doing before asking me to put Tyler on. Also, when he popped over, he looked for me in the basement, or the pool, to give a quick wave before dashing off to find Tyler. Though he seemed nice to me, Jansen had taken such an abrupt disliking to him that lately Andrew had kept his distance when he was around. Andrew twirled his own sunglasses in his long fingers and shifted his sea-blue eyes from me to the door and back again. "Oh, sorry. It's just, well..." "It's all right," I said. "We were expecting you. Tyler's in the back." "Your brother. Right." He stood there a moment, shifting his weight from one foot to the other, his eyes on me. "Are you coming swimming?" I inspected my attire. Yep, my navy spaghetti-strapped bikini was still in place. That was the plan. How had he missed my scantily clad body? Was I just one of the guys around here? He rubbed his chin, pink with razor burn, and winced. "Sorry, I'll just go out and see Tyler. Where did you say he was?" "In the back," I repeated haltingly. "Right. I'll see you two out there then." Jansen lifted his squared jaw, his face frozen, neither smiling nor frowning, his eyes locked on Andrew's. Poor Andrew felt the heat, too. Must have the way he cleared his throat. Not menacingly as Jansen had, but nervously. Andrew continued to bear the weight of Jansen's unrelenting scrutiny long after the door slid closed. I waited for his attention to find me again, hands on hips, an icy glare waiting for him. Instead of looking at me right away, he stared at the back door, before at last pulling his hand from his pocket, clutching his gift. He'd seen me peripherally, though. Must have, because he didn't even flinch when he said, "What?" "That was rude." "I wasn't trying to be." His shoulder shrug said otherwise. "Is he staying for fireworks?" "Yes. Is that a problem?" "No. It just seems like he's been here a lot lately." "He is Tyler's closest friend." Jansen brushed his free hand over my face, a sweet gesture he often did, the way one might tweak a nose or kiss a forehead. As often happened when he did that, it was as though he swept away my worries. "Are you going to accept my apology?" Of course he knew I would, so I returned his little half grin. He raised his sunglasses to sit in his short, raven black tresses. "Did you invite anyone?" "Just you. Why? Was there someone else you were hoping for? Clara, perhaps?" Jansen snorted. "I hope you're joking." "Maybe she won't be so bad this year." He arched one eyebrow, a look that said, "Be serious," and "I can't stand her," at the same time. "No, seriously," I laughed. "She's not so bad. It's just she was new last year." "Yes, and?" "And I think she was trying too hard." He chortled through his nose and sat on the armrest of the couch with an enviable air of confidence. "It wasn't because she was new. She just wanted to hook up with me." "You didn't like her even a little bit?" "She's not my type." He had an edge to his tone, his good humor slipping. In an obvious move to change the topic, he tucked his sunglasses into his pocket and tried to hand the gift to me. "What about her isn't your type? Her long, wavy blonde hair," I fiddled with the bow, as if one of Clara's curls, "her perfect body. All the other guys are into her." I'd gone too far. His eyes snapped to mine, locking me into the depths of them. The room even heated a degree, like it always seemed to when he got angry. "Her body is not perfect." He pushed the words out through his teeth. "The other guys think it is. You're the only one I know who's immune to her charm." Jansen said nothing, but took my hand and placed the gift in it. "Open it." Fine, I'd teased enough, so I pulled at the little bow. It came apart in my hand. The real difficulty was undoing the tape, which he'd gone overboard on, and I had to fight with it a little. "Let me help," he said. "No, it's my present." After winning the great tape battle, I wadded the paper into a tight ball, held it in my fist, and lifted the box's tiny blue lid. What was it? I peeled back the thin white tissue. Ah, there it was! A necklace unlike anything I'd ever seen. "Oh!" I drew out the sound like a musical note. It slipped from its box, and I weaved my fingers through its delicate double chain. The gem was oval-shaped, with soft points on each end. A cat's eye. Its color was that of a blue sapphire. The horizontal white dividing line down its center gave the illusion of opening. A bright inner light trying to escape. It looks like it's winking. "It's called a chrysoberyl cat's eye. That's the name of the gem. This one was found in a marketplace in Sri Lanka." "It's beautiful." "Thought you might like it. I asked Uncle Fred to pick up a necklace for you on his trip. Wanted something unique and beautiful." "It's both. Thank you. I'll put it on you." The moment he clasped its chain, a spark of energy zipped through me, and something like champagne bubbles shimmied down my spine. He tapped both my shoulders, nudging me to turn. "Here, let me see it." A smile spread as he lifted the chrysoberyl to inspect, but jerked back as if startled. "What's the matter?" "How long have you had this?" "Had what?" I followed his finger, crossing my eyes to do it, where he pointed out a small blemish I always thought looked like a starburst scattering freckles everywhere. I couldn't see it without tucking my chin. "What, this? It's a birthmark." I'd had it my entire life, and, barely dressed as I so often was with him around the pool, I was a little offended that he hadn't spotted it before now. "What's a girl got to wear to be seen around here? First, Andrew doesn't notice me in a bikini." "He noticed," Jansen said with an edge. I ignored him. Now you're telling me you've never seen this gigantic birthmark? I've seen it, he grimaced, in that way men do when they think you're being ridiculous. And it's not that big. Is it just me, or does it glow? Glow? I think that's just you, bub. Bet giving Clara a necklace would make her glow. Clara? How'd you go from your birthmark to Clara? Or is she more of a bracelet girl? Jansen's fingers slipped, and the chrysoberyl dipped to rest colder than ice between my breasts, shooting a crazy, spine-tingling, hair-raising shudder to my core. Whoa. It's how I knew I had him, too, because Jansen never slipped. I turned away from him to dig the pendant out. Gosh, I'd have to shorten this chain. No, definitely a bracelet. What are you going on about? She would never need to cover up her perfectly unblemished chest. He spun me around, and geez, his bared chest was right at nose level. I didn't know if it was his earthy scent or if I grew dizzy from the spin, but a breath of charged air stalled between us. Would you stop? He emphasized the admonishment with his hands clamped on his hips. The wrinkled brow, the darting eyes, the subtle twitching of not just his lips, but his chin as well. He wanted to say more, but held back. Time to let him off the hook. I tousled the finger-length waves on his head, a higher stretch than it had been at the end of the previous school year. How much had he grown in 2 short months? What? He asked darkly. Oh, nothing, I laughed as I darted out of Jansen's reach toward the back door, just before calling over my shoulder, Clara's going to love what the summer's done to you. He didn't follow me out, which was good because I thought he'd wrestle me for that, and in my skimpy bikini? What was I thinking? Hot air hugged me the instant I stepped outside, the humidity laying on me like a damp blanket, one I welcomed for the moment. Bikinis are designed for lounging in the sun, not air conditioning. Under the shade of the covered barbecue, my dad worked over the grill, spreading barbecue sauce over chicken legs that sizzled when drips hit the burning coals. He wore khaki dad shorts, too wide and too long, and held a barbecue brush in one hand, a beer in the other. It took rising high onto my tiptoes, but I kissed his cheek. Hey, baby girl, happy birthday! I was so glad to see him. Yeah, he tried to arrange his calendar around important days like our birthdays, but it didn't always work out. He was a captain for a major airline and at the mercy of scheduling. Mom joked he was married to his job, and in some ways that was true. It's just that when he was home, it was with his full, doting attention. Outside of the shaded patio, our moms lounged in the sun on reclining chairs my mom had purchased the week before. Jansen had never known his father, but the two moms had been best friends since college. Miss Kate had come for the day, relaxing now with her fish print beach towel rolled up beneath her neck. When my shadow fell over her, she opened one eye from under her oversized hat. Good afternoon, birthday girl. Back at ya. Wait, that didn't work. I waved, brushing the silly retort away. You look comfy. I am, thank you. It's a beautiful day for hanging around the pool. I opened the cooler, picked out a soda, and popped open the can. Any day is a beautiful day for hanging around the pool. True. Toss me one of those, would you? I plunged my hand back into the ice and tossed a can of lemonade to Miss Kate. Thanks, kid. My mom blocked the sun with her hand and peered up from her lounge. Please tell me you found the bowl. Oh, Mom, I'm sorry. I turned to head inside and ran smack into Jansen, who had come out so quietly I hadn't heard him. Here, Miss Marie, he said with a smirk, staring down at me. I found it. Jansen, bless you. Miss Kate took the bowl from him and passed it to my mom. How has your birthday been so far? Any presents yet? Yes, in fact, I gave Jansen's warm hand a quick squeeze, a sort of thank you for the present. My other fingers fiddled with the pendant around my neck. Jansen gave me this, but you probably already saw it. Uncle Fred picked it up at one of his excursions. Sri Lanka, wasn't it? Miss Kate grasped the jewelry for a better look, and her face turned as white as the vinyl fencing encircling the pool deck. Her glass tipped, spilling lemonade down the front of her cover-up. Are you all right? I snatched the empty can and put it on a small glass table. When I dabbed at her with napkins, the familiar scent of lavender wafted over me. She didn't move to help, but sat statuesque in her lounge chair. My mom stirred a crock of baked beans, eyeing us. "Why, Kate, what is it?" Miss Kate stopped me with a firm hand on my arm, and she fingered the pendant as gently as if it might crumble in her hands. "Where did you say you got this?" "From me," Jansen said. "You know, from Uncle Fred." "He thought this was an appropriate gift?" She was blowing this out of proportion. Maybe she thought Uncle Fred had spent too much money. It couldn't just be because Jansen had given me jewelry. He'd done that before. In fact, I'd collected a butterfly pendant, an infinity bracelet, and a delicate ankle bracelet made of small hearts from him. Kate. He and Charlie both called their mom by her first name unless they were really angry. Then she was Mother. "I think you're overreacting. You could rein it in a bit." She grimaced and dropped the pendant on my chest. "Me rein it in? You don't understand." "Then perhaps you could explain it to me later." His words were like ice as he glowered at her. Kate broke eye contact with her son, picked up her lemonade, took a swig, and rolled it around on her tongue before swallowing. Only the intermittent trill of a sparrow interrupted the awkward silence. She took another sip, and still nobody spoke. "Ellie," she set her drink down with a clack of plastic on the glass. "Who else is coming to this little party of yours?" "No one." I shifted my weight from foot to foot, staring at my toes as if they were works of art worthy of great study. "I think we're all here." Miss Kate fingered her jaw, deep in thought. "So you've only invited Jansen?" "And Andrew," I said. "But you didn't invite him." "No, Tyler did." The concrete deck heated beneath my bare feet. I could empathize with the pieces of chicken on the grill. Enough already. Why was she grilling me? "And there's no one else?" "Charlie." I glanced at Jansen's brother, who swam in the pool. As if he'd heard me from so far away, he inclined his head and returned my gaze. Though he couldn't have over the din of splashing and playful banter between Tyler and Andrew. "So you've invited two of your brother's friends to your birthday party?" "Kate," my mom said, "leave her be. These are the friends she feels most comfortable with." "Besides," I said, "it isn't a birthday party. It's the 4th of July. You should make some girlfriends." It wasn't a suggestion. In fact, it sounded very much like a command. Charlie came, laying his enormous, cold, wet hand on my sun-ripened shoulder, which made me jump and belt out a peal of laughter. It was just so cold. "Come on over here and join us in the pool." He jabbed his mom on the arm and guided me toward the water. "It's awfully hot out here." Before Charlie could lead me away, Miss Kate grabbed my arm. "Be wary." What an odd thing to say. She could have said, "Be careful," or "Be good." Maybe have fun. But no, she said, "Be wary." Guarded? Watchful? Is that what she meant? Be wary. Chapter 2. It was a good idea Charlie had when he pulled me over to the pool. The water was cool and refreshing. Exactly what I needed. The sloshing, splashing water soothed my nerves and washed away Kate's ominous message. Jansen and I hung off the edge while Charlie, Andrew, and Tyler shot baskets in the water. When the ball ricocheted toward me, I snatched it up. "Charlie!" I yelled, simultaneously throwing it at the buckeye-brown curls covering the back of his head. With no warning and without looking, he reached up, palm facing me, and caught the ball from behind. "Whoa," Andrew said, awestruck. As if he hadn't done the impossible, Charlie threw it to Andrew, who, jaw still at the bottom of the pool, fumbled it. After swallowing to regain his composure, he gripped it in both palms and commentated as he shot from mid-pool, "He shoots! He scores! The crowd goes wild!" I cupped my hands around my mouth as an impromptu bullhorn. "Way to go, Andrew!" The ball plopped into the water, floating toward Jansen, who palmed it with a thump. Not to be outdone by Charlie, he turned his back to the hoop and made to shoot from behind, but I knocked it from his fingertips. With barely a lift of his shoulders, not even a shrug, he leaned against the pool's edge, an easy indifference encasing him like smoke and mist. "What? What do you mean, what?" I scolded. "Just let him have his moment." He palmed the ball and tossed it toward Tyler. "Yeah, well, I could have made it." "Could have? More like would have." It was true enough, and he smirked as he resumed his casual wall lean. So long as you know. Gabriella! My mom's voice startled me so close to my ear. She squatted just behind us at the side of the pool, holding out a tube of sunblock. Did you put any of this on? Mom, I said with a hard-to-miss, leave me alone whine. That's a no. Honestly, everyone needs sunscreen. But with that hair of yours and that skin... She had a point, but I wrinkled my freckled nose anyway. I thought you liked my freckles. God got carried away with his stardust, pretty girl, and sun-roasted stardust turns into the devil's blisters. I know. My wavy strawberry blonde hair came with about 1,000,000 freckles. Heck, if you counted my neck, chest, and arms, I had at least 3,000,000. Not the darling little freckles that dot cute button noses either. No, I had an all-out mud splattering of them, or as my mom called them, stardust. Got it. Jansen took the bottle from her. After he squeezed a dollop into my hand, I slathered it onto my cheeks and neck in 10 seconds flat. Done. Jansen scrubbed his chin. Were you going for white clown face? Rather than stick out my tongue, I squinted and pressed near him instead, inviting him to rub the greasy slop into my skin. Always attentive to the smallest of details, my friend rubbed both his thumbs along my cheekbones and then over my nose. Press your lips together. He spread it around my mouth, toward my ears, and finally my neck. Eyes closed, I heard the gloppy sound of shaking lotion and then a squirt. Turn. I did, and pulled my hair forward, exposing more of my back, at which point he loosed a sharp breath, one that suggested he tried to power the sun. You okay? I asked. Yeah, sure, just hungry all of a sudden. Hungry? Was that all? Because it sounded like... Then I forgot the epic sigh as his hands glided over my shoulders. He used circular motions to spread it around and around, making certain he'd thoroughly rubbed it in before traveling between my shoulder blades. Down my arms, down my back, all with equal attention. How wonderfully warm. Unnaturally so, like his body magically heated the sunscreen. You're perfect, he said on a breath that seemed to stick in his throat. He cleared it and gestured to his own chest. Though you might wanna... Got it, I smiled, holding my hand out for a glob. You should get out and put this on the rest of you. You know, dry off a little. While I rubbed the oily gunk into my chest, Charlie swam beneath my legs undetected and shot me into the air before I knew what happened. He'd done this hundreds of times, but since he'd caught me off guard, I landed in the water with a squeal. From the depths, I thrust off the bottom, resurfaced, and cried out in exhilaration. Once I'd returned to Charlie, I readied myself to go again. Higher this time. He gripped my hips. Can't, he said, and tossed me. What was that pathetic throw? As soon as I resurfaced, I made sure to tell him. That was weak! Andrew wasn't having it and choked at the proclamation. Both hands on his hips, he scoffed. Weak? You are not 5 years old anymore. That was an amazing throw. For some, perhaps. Charlie knew what I meant, knew it was weak, and shrugged. Mom's watching. Sorry. Yeah, Tyler swept wet hair from his brow. What's up with that? Does she want something? Maybe you should go find out. I glanced at Miss Kate, who was indeed watching. Studying me? No, she's just mad about the necklace Jansen gave me. Not mad, really, Jansen said. More like concerned. With a wiggle of his finger, Charlie beckoned me to him. Any idea why? None, Jansen nudged his chin toward me. And be careful with her, please. Super high, I whispered into Charlie's ear, but Jansen heard me all the same and shot Charlie a warning glare. As if that could ever stop Charlie. No worries. He tossed me into the air higher than before, but not as high as when the three of us were alone in the pool. Once resurfaced, I slicked back my long, wet waves, wiping water from my lashes. Anyway, it wasn't only the necklace. She seemed kind of mad that I didn't ask more people over today. Tyler ducked as the ball he'd just thrown ricocheted off the rim, kicking back hard at him. Like who? Exactly, Jansen said as I swam up next to him. He weaved his fingers through my hair, arranging it behind my shoulders, then leaned close to my ear. "Aren't we all here?" The wind blew, and I inhaled his scent of musk and sun-ripe wheat, something I had never noticed before. It made my heart race, made heat spread from my cheeks, down my neck. That was new. When we were younger, we balked at getting out of the pool for anything. We didn't mind storms, never got tired, no matter the hour, and our bellies never seemed to get hungry. There were even pictures of Jansen and me eating with our upper halves on the deck, and our bottom halves submerged in the water, while we ate hot dogs. However, we weren't kids anymore, and for the guys, nothing was as powerful as the dinner call. My mom waved an arm, and the four of them fled the pool as if it caught fire. The scent of cooked barbecue had been making us drool for a torturous half-hour, so the boys and I helped ourselves to the chicken. Then we piled our plates high with potato salad, sweet summer watermelon, corn on the cob, deviled eggs, and baked beans sweetened with brown sugar. We ate dinner as the sun set, rich with colors of the amethyst, lavender, tiger lilies, and sunflowers. The sun itself was a blinding red spot on the horizon, reflecting hot orange beams off the windows of the house. Dreamily, I had the thought that it shone like a spotlight on my family, both genetic and chosen. Miss Kate made me uneasy, so I tried to ignore her while making small talk with Andrew. The heat of her gaze bore into me, though. So much so that even when my mom talked to her, her eyes remained riveted on me. "Hello out there, Ellie." Andrew broke my trance. Chuckling, he said, "I'm going to get more potato salad. Want anything?" "Thanks, but I'm good." No sooner had he left than Miss Kate was out of her seat, leaving my mom mid-sentence. She swooped into Andrew's empty chair and slid her untouched dinner beside mine. Sun's in my eyes. I doubted that. Though I was uncomfortable, a sick curiosity kept me rooted. "Andrew's a nice guy," she said. "Is he here often?" "Is that what this is about?" I slammed my can on the table harder than I'd meant, spilling some of it. "You think I'm interested in Andrew? He's my brother's friend, not even mine. I only try to be nice." I threw Jansen an icy glare across the patio, where he dug through the cooler for a drink, but he didn't look up. Just what had he told his mom about Andrew? "What difference does it make anyway?" I dabbed at the spill with my napkin. "It's not like—" "No, it isn't that." She covered my hand to stop me from cleaning. "You should be nice to him. That's good." Her words turned higher in pitch, almost sing-song-like. "I see how he looks at you." In no mood to discuss my love life, I shifted in the chair, pulled my hand away, and scooted further from her. "He looks at me that way because he can't understand why I'm so close to Jansen, if you must know. He isn't exactly nice to Andrew." Yes, I've noticed." Her attention narrowed on her youngest son, who turned around with a drink in hand, eyeing his mom almost as if he'd heard our conversation from such a distance. Miss Kate leaned in, near enough that her lips brushed my ear. "Love carefully, Ellie." Then she rose so quickly I felt a cool breeze from her cover-up. After she left, Jansen slid into her seat. What was that about? I have no idea. Caught up in the festivities, we nibbled and conversed until the sky darkened, peppered with bright stars and 2 twinkling planets. Jansen pointed out which were Mars and Jupiter. Apparently the moons of Jupiter were visible too, but I couldn't see them. After cleaning up a bit and taking leftovers inside, we prepped for fireworks. I looked forward to this the most. Not only did I get to view a fantastic display of fireworks, but also got a rare glimpse of pure joy on Jansen's face. Charlie set the explosives out in the middle of the yard as Jansen started toward the wick. "Wait." Charlie fumbled in his pocket and handed Jansen a small box of matches. "Think you forgot these." "Right. Matches. Got it." The rest of us huddled as far back as possible, but Jansen appeared fearless as he held the match to the wick, waiting patiently for it to light. He planted himself there for a time as the flame flickered and hissed before backing away. Even then, it was more because my father insisted than because he wanted to, folding his arms as he enjoyed the anticipation. "Come on back now," my dad said. "That's still too close." Jansen grimaced, but obeyed. You'd think he was fireproof. The rocket exploded from its tubing. Whiz! Bang! What a grand sight! A detonation of glorious gold sparkles streamed from the sky like an umbrella of lights. Though the bang made me jump, Jansen stood solid as he looked on, his dark figure a shadow against the glittering backdrop. He monopolized the lighting for much of the first half. Only when Charlie could no longer contain his own enthusiasm did Jansen hand over the matches and beckon me to follow him. He led me past our parents, who relaxed in chaise lounge chairs, past Tyler and Andrew, who were opening a box of sparklers, to a spot in the grass where we could lay on our backs and gaze up at the dazzling display. Was there anything better than this? The two of us soaking in the laughter of our families, silently observing the beauty of the fireworks against a black velvety backdrop. The various tints took my breath away, with bursts of emerald, ruby, and majestic gold. Best of all were the ones that sizzled and swirled toward the ground in glitzy spirals. With my head close to his, I whispered, "I love to watch the colors change. I think my favorite is gold." Jansen's face shimmered after the firecracker that had scarcely launched, and his smile spread, the flash reflecting off his sunglasses. He was sensitive to light, and wore the glasses so often that he often left them on, even at night. So I removed them, folded them, and tucked the shades into the pocket of my loose cover-up. His rich midnight eyes mirrored the colors in the sky as clearly as if they were glass. I fell so far into his glassy orbs that I swore I could see swirling, twisting firecrackers in varying shades of blue around a black core. He hummed, "My favorite is blue." He winked as if telling me a joke I didn't understand. Had there been any blue? Happy birthday, Ellie.